Welcome to the Virtual Ball Boys podcast. My name is Chris, and I am joined once again by my good friend, Matt.
Last time on Dock of Shame.
I am surprised you haven't done that one yet. You warned me. I was like, oh man, I didn't do this one before. And I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And it's like, oh, yep.
Right, it feels like something I would have done by now.
Yeah, it does. It feels like it could have been a maybe like a off season, like when Dock of Shame was first getting going.
Right.
You know, that would come up. But no, hey, it works. It's a good plug for Dock of Shame as a whole.
Go listen to Dock of Shame, a podcast about total drama.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good show. We got some. We just crossed the halfway point
of season 1.
Yeah, so
should be
season
fun.
1, right? Yeah, not the halfway point of the podcast.
Nope.
Halfway point of season 1.
About like the 6th waypoint of the podcast.
Right, there you go. So yeah, go listen to it. It's a good show. Anyways, welcome everyone. Welcome back to the Virtual Boys. We are coming off of a wild week 2, to say the least. We also are coming off of our first week doing the VBBFL. So we have some things to report to you. We will be doing the highlight reel later on in the podcast. We also are going to be doing our week 3 picks. And we also have a segment about teams with chaotic energy. You know, we're going to just name teams that we feel like are just giving up a very chaotic vibe this season. Which fits with the Team Chaos vibes, and also because I was looking up games this week that are coming out, and Serious Sam 4 is coming out, so I was just like, hey, we'll tie it into the chaotic energy of that game, along with all the other teams that are causing chaos in the league, or will be causing chaos this season.
Indeed.
So we'll be talking about that. But before that, of course, we have to talk about week 2. There's a lot to talk about with week 2. It was even hard. It was very hard, I would say, to pick a game of the week this time, but I ended up nailing it down to the Sunday Night Football game between the Patriots and the Seahawks, a game in which once again, for about like 3.5 quarters, the same phrase kept on showing up on my Twitter timeline. Russ is cooking. He is cooking. Through touchdowns to like 5 different receivers in this game. And it was a really awesome offensive performance by the Seahawks. But the Patriots are a little bit of the story of this game, because they were down a little bit. They started out the game by intercepting Russell Wilson, bringing it in for a touchdown. But ended up falling down a few scores. But they came rallying back, and because of the Seahawks' mismanagement of whether or not to run the ball or when to throw the ball and all that kind of stuff, ended up bringing the Patriots back to the goal line, where the Patriots did what the Seahawks should have done in the Super Bowl and run the ball, but yet the Seahawks defensive line ended up standing strong. And the Patriots ended up losing the game, and the Seahawks came out on top. What was your thoughts on this game?
Chris, do you remember trade deadline last year when I said, hey, the Bears should try to get Cam Newton?
And I don't know. Have you also like talked about it in almost every podcast since then?
I have not. Excuse you, but I'm just saying that I was right. I'm very happy for Cam. He's playing so well. Who would have thought that he would have been able to be the one to throw Edelman's highest yardage in any game?
Yeah.
He's with Brady being who he is.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to see him. I am also very happy that the Seahawks are continuing to be dominant and being able to win against really good teams. So, all around, great game. I was on the edge of my fucking seat.
Yeah, I think with when it comes to like the Patriots, we kind of went in like their emphasis last week was on running the ball, and having Cam be the one who ran the ball, and so the fact that became such a a game of being of throwing, especially against the Seahawks, secondary that we were all kind of relatively high on going into the season.
Yeah.
It worked out really well for them, and yeah, Cam Newton looks great, and I hear a lot of people being like, how did the league allow the Patriots to scoop up Cam Newton? And I think that 2020 hindsight is just kind of like, I think that we kind of look back at it and be like, oh my god, how did they let it happen? But I think that there was a lot of circumstances.
No, you couldn't work him out. You couldn't see if he was actually physically able. If he signs to a team and he's not that, then you wasted a signing. It wasn't a good signing.
Right.
Everyone would have mocked you relentlessly. So
right.
At the point where the Patriots signed him, they were able to sign him and knew that he was healthy and knew that he would be able to be as good as he is.
Yeah, and I think that it didn't make. It didn't make sense for people to like they actually had restrictions because of COVID that they couldn't see him.
Yeah.
And it just didn't make sense for a lot of these teams that were still quarterback needy. In a sense, because it was like the thing about the Bears and the thing about the Jaguars and the thing about there was another team that I just had in mind, the Chargers. All these teams, they had quarterbacks there, backup quarterbacks there, or just quarterbacks of the future that they want to have faith in, that they wanted to see be the focus. Because you knew if you signed Cam, that would have been the focus. He automatically ends up being the focus of the franchise. Like, I don't think Cam Newton was looking to be a backup. And so, I don't know. Like, I think that there's a lot of people that are frustrated. I think that people are frustrated because the Patriots were the one that landed Cam Newton, and he looks as good as he does. And I get that. But at the same time, like, this was kind of something that we expected to see happen, and it happened, and it looks great, and it's a lot of fun. So it's great. I'm so excited for Cam Newton. And again, like the Seahawks, I thought that the fact that they've gotten off to a strongest start as they have gives me a lot of confidence in them going forward. Because I always just felt like the Seahawks were one of those teams that just get off to like the slowest of grinds, and they're just that there's so many issues early that they can't figure out later. I mean, this team already looks fantastic, and I think maybe the pass rush needs to get better, but
they're a better team than they were last year, and last year they almost had a bye and won the division.
Yeah.
They were a play away from it. This team is fantastic.
Yeah, no. See, the Seahawks are looking primed to win this division at this point,
yep.
But they do have some competition. Surprisingly,
they do have a lot of competition.
Surprisingly, not from the 49ers. We'll get to that maybe in a little while. Next up, the blowout of the week: Lions at Packers. Not too bad of a blowout. 42-21 was the final score. But man, oh man, Matt, the Packers are back.
I'm terrified of the Aarons. Because week 1 it was Rodgers, week 2 it was Jones, just doing what they could to make. I don't know if it's just spite. They're doing this out of spite because their backups were drafted in the draft, but they are out for blood and they are dominating.
Yeah. It's and like I think
we're tied with them right now. The Bears are tied with them right now, and it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, exactly. Like it is like how. Well, first of all, congratulations on being 2-0 and for the Bears.
Thank you.
That was one thing I was not expecting for the Bears.
No, me neither.
But but yeah, no, it's like and I wasn't expecting 2-0 for the Packers either. And the thing is that I think that there was someone out there, I forget who it was, that said it best. Like, last year's team, they went 13-3, and I think that we could. Two things could be true: that last year's 13-3 team won more games than it probably should. But this year's team is now grown up and looks like it deserves to be 13-3 through 2 games.
Yes,
like
I will concede that.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like it looks like a dominant team. Like and again, I think the defense probably could still get to a better level for the Packers.
But they haven't had to.
They haven't had to, right? Like, everything has fallen apart for them, apart for their opponents. Like, the Vikings were a mess, and the Lions...
Yeah.
The Lions, I mean, on that front, like, this Lions franchise is kind of like... They're in a very strange spot because once again they're falling back into this is incompetency of not using its talent very well, and it just has gotten to the point where we're like, and losing Galladay is a huge thing for the Lions as well.
Yeah,
like that's also a problem. But they're just not and the thing is, they started the game out great and then it just fell apart, and so this is a Lions team that just needs to remain consistent from beginning to end, and it just keeps on falling apart for them. And it's just like, I don't know if it's the incompetence of the coaching staff, which we tend to be the one to blame, right? Or is it just that they're missing some of their key players? I don't know. And the defense is also not doing this team any favors, which again that rests kind of on the coach and the general manager on this point. So. Yeah. There you go. So that's the Packers are back, baby. Next, the team chaos of the week, and we almost went through the entire weekend without a team chaos. There was not a single upset of note up until the Raiders hosting their first game in Las Vegas just took down the Saints in insane fashion. It
didn't feel close.
It didn't feel close after a while. It was a lot of talk was about Drew Brees' arm. It was more so the fact that it seemed like the Saints defense was gassed after the Raiders and Darren Waller. Ooh. My goodness gracious, leading the way.
The Walrus.
The Las Vegas Raiders win the game 34-24. What was your reaction to this game?
We were on call as the game was going on, so we were kind of watching it together. Mm-hmm. And I was the Raiders Stadium looks beautiful. I really love the way that the silver and black seats look in the crowd. It looks wonderful.
Yeah, it looks maybe like a more Roomba. So but it does look great.
Well, the outside, I'm talking about the inside.
The inside looks great, yes.
Yeah, the outside looks like a combination Roomba toilet seat, but the inside looks stunning. I just really love the colors too. The Raiders are really together as a team, especially the offense. Darren Waller is a really great player.
Yep.
And their young receiving core is going to develop to be really good. So I'm glad for them that the Derek Carr experience, it may turn around and start looking good for them again.
Yeah, and then even on the defensive side, you have the guys like Max Crosby and Jonathan Abrams, who thank God, that was a very scary scene where he slammed his head into the media cart, and did seem to get up right away. He ended up being all right, but those two guys are the kind of like the really big players of that defense, and they played. They didn't play amazing, but they played relatively really good, especially with slowing down a Saints team that we've been saying has been really good on offense. Alvin Kamara looked great on Sunday, but now what does the Saints? What do we think about the Saints team right now? Do we think that it's all on Michael Thomas not being there, or do we think that there is a bigger issue maybe with a regression of Drew Brees, or just a regression on the defense? I'm curious as to where you might stand on it, Matt.
Michael Thomas was definitely missed. I will say that, especially after last year, Michael Thomas being for sure a safety valve, but also the league leader in receptions. That's who Drew Brees has been relying on, and with his absence, the offense suffered a bit. I think they will do a little bit better having some more time without him, but it's still there were a couple things that could have been could have done better. Jared Cook catches another one or two passes that he just barely missed.
Yeah,
and the game could be a different story.
Yeah, and Emmanuel Sanders too didn't look like
Sanders looked awful.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be this team goes from having a just the number one to like actually having a solid number two, and that's not the case.
Well, I mean, you have Traquan Smith there.
Who is the number one at this point with Thomas out?
Right, yeah. So that he's kind of he had like his moments, but like yeah, it was just the passing game was just not there. Where usually that's where the Saints are kind of brutal, along with Alvin Kamara on the ground.
The offense was Kamara, and that was he still couldn't do enough.
Right, exactly. So it's wild, and so we're gonna keep tabs on see how the Raiders, if the Raiders can continue their success. They have the Patriots next, or and if the Saints can get back to some glory, they got the Packers next. Both teams having some big old tests moving forward. Now,
yep.
Any other thoughts for this week? Any other takeaways that you came from?
I wanted to talk about the Chargers a lot because holy hell, they were so close to winning that game with their rookie quarterback who didn't know he was going to start until right before the game.
Yeah, that's insane. It was really insane.
And Herbert, to his credit, played amazing for it being his first NFL game and not and not practicing with the team.
Yeah,
it was great. I was big fan of it. The defense still looks stout. It was a good show of effort by the Chargers against the reigning Super Bowl champions and the best offense in the league.
Yeah, the fact that like it started with Tyrod Taylor getting this injection into into his chest by the team doctor, who apparently punctures his fucking lung, which is just
terrifying. That like
insane.
That hurts.
Yeah.
And I just that's something that I'm like scared of.
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely. I'm hoping that he ends up being all right, Tyrod.
Yeah.
But the fact that that's how the day kind of started for the Chargers, and now Justin Herbert has to go out and he has to start. Yeah, dude was great, and I was not expecting to have Herbert. I felt like there was going to be more time. Like Herbert was one of those guys that people were like, he needs more time to kind of grow and develop. But man, he's good. He's good. Yeah, he had so like it wasn't even like okay, he was a game manager. Like no, he made plays, and that was the great element of it. I think I'm glad that they did come out. Anthony Lynn did come out today and say that he's going to be starting Herbert for the Week 3 game against the Panthers. I think that has more. I think he's trying to make clear that it has more to do with where Tyrod is at than where
Herbert is at.
Yeah, but basically saying like, okay, Herbert's now our permanent starter. Like I don't think he's coming out and saying that right now. No. But me personally, I think I would have Herbert.
I would love to run with Herbert right now.
Yeah, I'm still no offense to Tannehill, but Tyrod. That's what I'm about to say. No offense to Tyrod. You know that's that Herbert is Herbert just looks great. I'm hoping that the Chargers can roll with him more. Let's talk the craziest ending in football. It was one of the games that kind of decided our picks this week. It was the Falcons that were just pouring it on the Cowboys offensively. And Dallas was really making a lot of mistakes, was fumbling all over the place. It was a mess for them. And then all of a sudden things kind of turned on for the Cowboys. They started scoring some touchdowns, trying to get back into the game. But it got to the point where they needed to get an onside kick, which nowadays that is a very, very rare for the onside kick to work. It doesn't happen. But lo and behold, the Falcons defense is not the only thing that doesn't show up in these games. It's also the Falcons special teams who forgot that basically the moment that a ball is kicked, you don't have to wait 10 yards to recover it like the Cowboys do.
The Cowboys do. You don't.
You could just jump on it. But lo and behold, the Cowboys did like this seance circle around the football, basically making the Falcons, psyched out the Falcons into thinking that they couldn't touch the ball either. And then the Cowboys dove on the ball. They recovered the football. They moved down there was a great throw by Dak and catch by CeeDee Lamb to run down the field a little bit more. And it was kicked. They kicked it through the uprights, and the Cowboys miraculously won the game. It was the most insane thing I saw in real. It was 40-39 was the final score. It was the most insane thing I think I've ever seen in football. One of the most insane moments, because it was just like, what? How do you fuck up that badly? How does that happen? Like, how do you get to that point?
It's insane, because the most famous comeback in football history was also against the Falcons.
Right. The Falcons fans must be so pissed.
They are, because they're going to be hearing about this for ages.
It's amazing. Like at least with that comeback that happened in the Super Bowl, obviously will live in more infamy. But I would say the idea that the Falcons defense in that game was gassed and they let the Patriots come back, that is more justifiable
than what happened just now.
Than what happened in the AT&T Stadium.
You let an onside kick happen.
Yeah, it wasn't even like, it was not even that great of an onside kick. I mean, it was like a nice spiral. All right, I'll give. I mean, Greg Zuerlein's great, and I'll give him credit for that. But it was, the ball was there. You could have picked it up. It's
crazy.
It's wild. It's absolutely wild. So, Cowboys somehow are not 0-2. They are 1-1. Tied at the top of the division with the Washington football team.
Rip my chaos pick.
And then all right, do you have any other games that you wanted to talk about? Maybe Bears or whatever?
No, Bears, I'm stressed.
You're stressed?
Watching Bears games are stressful since last season started. No, but I want to talk about all the injuries that happened.
Oh, yes,
it
please
was ugly.
Mm-hmm.
The lack of preseason, catching up to a lot of players, wrong steps, potentially bad turf at MetLife, so many other factors of just parts of people's bodies breaking, and it sucks for all of these players that were going to be stars for their team, like Saquon and Nick Bosa and Solomon Thomas and Cortland Sutton and so many others, that their season is over as a result. Some players got lucky in the sense that they'll be able to play in a few weeks, like Christian McCaffrey, like Raheem Mostert, like Jimmy Garoppolo. But man, it really took the wind out of the week as a whole. And I'm glad that we at least had two really good games, Sunday and Monday night, to kind of lift our spirits up.
Yeah, it is a shame. Like, you know, yeah, Saquon and Sterling Shepard's going to be out for some time. That was the Giants. You know, Nick Bosa, Solomon Thomas out for the year. Jimmy Garoppolo, Raheem Mostert's going to be out for some time. Parise Campbell for the Colts is going to be out for a little while. Malik Hooker's out for the year. Cortland Sutton's out for the year for the Broncos. I'm sure there's more I can't think about.
That's just how many that there were.
Yeah, there was a lot. It was a lot, and I think that there was some expectation going into the year, without preseason, without a ton of time in training camp, that this was going to be the reality where we're going to see a lot of injuries happen, especially early on. And it happened a few years ago. I forget what exact year, but there was a whole bunch of stars that went down, and that was one of the things that like caused a dip in the ratings. And you know, people were. I think that was also around the time of like the national anthem protests, and so people were like, "Oh, that's the reason why the ratings go down." But really, like, there was a shit ton of stars that were not playing anymore.
Yeah.
So it's.
By the way.
Yes.
Regarding that last bit, I still see people, like, whenever I go on Facebook, commenting on team Facebook pages, like, I'm not going to watch anymore. Look at me, I'm not watching. It has the top fan designation on their comment, because they comment all the time.
It's funny, because it's like, if you haven't stopped watching now, then what are you doing, man?
Right.
Like,
no, you're still watching. You just want to feel special.
Right. You want to feel like you're doing your little protest thing. If you want to get credit for for you protesting the NFL, whatever. But
How brave of you.
right. So I but regardless, it is a really shitty thing, and I feel terribly for the Niners the most because they've lost a lot of their stars, and hopefully it's not going to be all of them for a long period of time. I mean, Garoppolo still has a chance of starting this week, but it is going to put a damper on them, especially in a very competitive division trying to make it back. And it's a shame for for just the players themselves, and just, you work so hard to get to this point, especially this year with the pandemic, and it's just the fact that all gets ripped away from you. It's just
it sucks.
It
really does.
It really, really sucks. Two more thoughts on from me. Browns Bengals was great.
It was. Shouldn't have been. It was.
It was a great game. I was looking forward to it. Browns look good. They looked good against the Bengals. We'll see if that kind of can remain consistent. But Joey Burrow, man, dude's gonna be a star.
He's gonna be incredible, and I think that add even just maybe one person on the O-line,
right,
and your offense is set.
Yeah.
With Mixon and the receivers that you have going forward, you're going to be golden.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see what he does moving forward. He's just going to be a must-watch, I think, for a lot of people. And the most underappreciated quarterback in the league is Ryan Tannehill.
I agree with you.
Dude's playing out of his mind right now, and I think a lot of people are like, oh, he's going to regress. He's playing so good.
He has not yet regressed.
He has not regressed through 2 games. I know it's 2 games, but he's just like he's really putting himself as like a permanent staple of the Tennessee Titans for the time being. Like just at least for moving forward, like they're not gonna have to worry about another quarterback for a little while because they have their franchise guy, I think, which is just great for Tannehill after the kind of doubt that Miami did work out for him.
I'm going to talk a lot about a certain Miami adjacent player, or not player, but person later on.
Okay. Some teasing there. So, as I was talking about earlier, I wanted to just like, by the way, you didn't have any additional thoughts?
No, we're good.
Cool. I want, for middle segments, I usually want to try to tie in something video game related into what's happening in the NFL. And so week by week, I'm going to see what's happening in the gaming sphere and kind of, see like, okay, what are people into? What's going to be coming out this week? What's going to be going on? And kind of see how we could tie it in. So there's a game series that famously has been around since like the 90s, I think. Serious Sam, which is just a chaotic. It's about like a mercenary who just shoots up a bunch of aliens. It's just one of those games where if you like violent shit, that like this is your game. There's a very famous character from it where the guy is like headless and has 2 bombs as his hands. It's insane.
Oh.
It's just, yeah, it's great. It's very family friendly. So their fourth installment of this game is coming out this week. And in honor of its chaotic energy, I wanted to talk about who we think, based off of the past 2 weeks of the season, and who we think moving forward is going to bring the most chaotic energy to this season. And usually what I mean by that is a team that is gonna really disrupt people, maybe out of nowhere, kind of like an underdog type element to it, but like just teams that are there to ruin people's days, almost. So
we can't talk about chaotic teams with chaotic energy without mentioning the Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right, yes, kick us off with the Jaguars.
So Jaguars preseason, it was, they're gonna be the worst team in the league. They just traded Fournette. They have no hope. They're going to get Trevor Lawrence next year. And then they come out and they upset the Colts. And then they almost upset the Titans, who were in the AFC Championship last year. They are already off the bat playing really good football with Minshew leading them.
Absolutely.
Minshew himself, agent of chaos, tried to break his hand in college to get a redshirt year. Wears jorts, just is the mustachioed wonder. he is the most interesting player in the league.
He really is. And I love that this Thursday Night Football game coming up is going to be like mustache versus beard.
Mustache versus beard. It's perfect. Battle
with
of
Ryan
Florida.
Fitzpatrick. But yeah, I can't. I don't disagree. I feel like the Jaguars, I would say, is definitely like the top of that list for chaotic. Because it is so like everyone when we were making this, like when we were looking at schedules and we were like, okay, so this team has the Colts. That's going to be a tough out. Oh, now they have the Jaguars the next week. Okay, well, that's an automatic W. I don't think we can do that.
No, we can't.
I don't think we can do that anymore. I feel like no one's safe from the might of the chlorine tank in Jacksonville with their jacuzzi, that they got riding on the top, which is what a wild fucking concept for or what is it, pool or whatever. I think it's just a pool.
I think it's just a pool.
Yeah, there you go. It's a pool.
But obviously I'm a big fan of The Good Place, and one of the main characters is from Jacksonville, and huge Jacksonville fan. Obviously that was in the age of Bortles.
Yes.
And then there was a fucking he had to be told at some point that Bortles was let go, and then they had Nick Foles, and then he was really excited about Nick Foles because he had won a Super Bowl. So it went from him shouting Bortles to shouting Foles, and then that was recorded before week 1 of last season when Nick Foles broke his clavicle. So they had to ADR in that reaction at the very end of the episode just to add another joke, but also be like, oh, Foles isn't actually the quarterback of this team.
Yeah, Minshew comes right in. I forgot how early on Minshew was in. I forgot that he was already in our lives.
It was week 1.
Yeah.
Because our week 2 podcast was titled Gardner Minshew Name Generator.
That's right. I remember that. And then it is. They definitely are like. I am very excited to see every Jacksonville game this year. I'm ready to see some chaos.
Absolutely. I can't wait for tomorrow night.
Yeah. I don't think we could talk about chaos though too, and not talk about what just happened on Monday night with Las Vegas Raiders. I just think that this team, it's so weird with them because I feel like I feel like everyone's kind of hesitant in buying into John Gruden's 10-year plan that he's going to end up, turning around this franchise. But thus far, it's kind of working. It's getting to that point. I mean, they need a whole bunch of scenarios to go their way, but they almost made the playoffs last year. They only kind of got better this past off season, and I think their defense is still their top weakness, but they have stars on it, and their offense is working. It's working a lot more than probably people would have thought, but it is surprising defenses there, that especially a Saints defense that's supposed to be really good. It's surprising them, and I'm fascinated to see where it kind of goes. But I think that they're going to disrupt a lot of things. If I'm the Chiefs, I'm a little worried. Maybe I feel like there's a chance you could drop a game to one of these teams. I mean, not that I don't trust the Chiefs to win in a shootout, but I also don't. I also look at the Raiders and just think that they have the ability to potentially go toe to toe with anyone in the league and wreak a little bit of insanity.
Absolutely, it's a scary. They're a scary team.
With their especially with their flame torch.
Yeah. That's so cool.
I know the Around the NFL guys, I was listening to them, and they had a good point. Man, would it have been great if that was actual fire? But I guess because of fire hazards and stuff, they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But that was a missed opportunity. But you know what? That's okay. It is what it is. Do you have another chaotic team in mind?
I really don't.
I have a few. I think the New England Patriots are. I feel like the Patriots are a little bit of a chaotic energy because I just think I understand that they it's hard for us to kind of look at this team and being like, oh, okay, they're these underdogs. Like they're not. They've been the top of the league for so long. But I the reason why I think chaotic energy is because I think a lot of us just kind of like, all right, Brady's gone. Finally, this is different. Let's go. And then Cam Newton comes in and plays the way he has the last few weeks, and it's just like, oh nope. Nope, we're back. We're still on this level.
Yeah.
So, and I'll throw one more team out there. How about your Chicago Bears?
I do not agree with you, but go ahead.
Okay, so I just if the Bears can remain somewhat competent on the offensive side of the ball and continue to be disruptors on the defensive side, I say why not? Why not see this team all of a sudden like end up like just knocking off a team that they probably shouldn't. Like for the first few weeks, even though I didn't think they would beat the Lions, like the past few weeks they've beaten the teams that they probably should, right?
Yes.
And then you have the Falcons that next week, which is a harder offense to defend against. But I think overall, I would say that there's a good chance for the Bears to win that game. You're going to get maybe harder opponents down the line. I don't necessarily want to count the Bears out of it. I feel like the last few weeks they've run pretty decent game plans.
And I think that I do agree that offense being a little bit more competent. If we get fourth quarter Trubisky the entire game, or first half against the Giants, I guess. I don't even know what this guy's doing. Along with
it just fluctuates.
It just fluctuates, and that's the problem. But if he stays consistent, I will feel better. And if Montgomery plays like he did against the Giants, wow.
Yeah. I think that I think just generally like. The reason why I think that they could, I think that they just, I even feel like if you don't even want to talk about the football games themselves, I just feel like the Bears generally are giving off this chaotic energy of like, who the fuck knows what this team is? we don't, like
the Bears don't. Bears fans don't. We're just
you're just going.
We clench our butts for 3 hours every Sunday. That's just how it is right now.
it just kind of rolls. And the last one I'll mention is the Arizona Cardinals.
The Cardinals are just so good that I wouldn't even call them chaotic. They're just dominant.
They're there. They're ready to play.
They're good.
That's fair. That's a fair assessment.
I am happy about the fact that Kyler and Hopkins are both on my dynasty, not on my dynasty team, on my redraft team, because they are kicking ass.
carrying the load.
Carrying my team since all my running backs got injured.
There you go. All right. Before we get to week 3, it's time to recap and give you guys the highlights of the first week of the VBBFL. We had 4 big games this week. If you watched our stream, thank you. If you didn't, it's totally fine. There's a VOD on Twitch, and it will soon be uploaded to YouTube as well for anyone who wants to view it. It's really just us talking and us doing some rolls. We had a few people join us as well. But now we have put all of the drives we've written out, and we're going to give you the general recaps of all 4 games. And I don't know, would you want to be the one that starts this?
Yeah, I'll start us out. So, first game we're going to talk about was Perth Amboy Privateers at the Escondido Artisans. Starts off pretty back and forth to start. First quarter, Prince of Cosmos has a nice couple passes to put the team up 14-7, and still manages to keep a nice lead going to halftime with 20-14. Third quarter, they increased their lead with a quarterback run by the Prince of Cosmos, and a fumble recovery by the team to get into the end zone, leading 33-21 by the end of the third quarter. And the Escondido did their best to try and come back with Mennonite running in, but they're unable to get the 2-point conversion, and Perth Amboy puts themselves up to an unbeatable score. Final score 40-33 Perth Amboy.
Yeah, I think my highlight of that whole thing is how at the very end the winning score is Kirby holding the ball in his mouth as he scores the touchdown. Very gross.
Yes.
So next up was the Brain Nerd Paladins at the Anaconda Mountaineers. The game
rivalry
starts.
Game.
Yes, it was a big rivalry game to start things off. Some fun, funny, Philly special started out the game. Lydia laterals to Isabel, who lateral to Yoshi, who throws it to Commander Shepard down the field. They get to score the touchdown, and the Anaconda continued to pour it on. Lydia scored the next touchdown after that, and it was 13-6 by the end of the first. Then the second quarter came, and things started to turn a little bit to the Brain Nerd side of things. It was after a rough sack committed by Jigglypuff, Jesse Faden throws deep to Diddy Kong for the touchdown, and then the score is 13-12. And then a few scores later, Mewtwo gets the snap and throws it to Faith Connors in the slot for the end zone. Mewtwo sneaks it in for the 2, and it is a tied game at 20-20.
You spelled Mewtwo wrong.
You
spelled it right, and then you spelled it wrong.
Well, it's okay. And then the start of the third quarter, Grunt comes in from the defense and as a tight end and catches a pass at the goal line from fellow Mass Effect character Commander Shepard. And later on in the drive, Chaz McFreely dodges 4 defenders to throw the ball down the field to O-run for the touchdown, and the extra point they went for 2 here. Shepard throws to Yoshi, who catches it with his tongue. It is now 34-27 at the end of the third, but the Brainerd Paladins come back here. After Faith Connors has a big receiving play, she punches it in at the 1-yard line, and another Mewtwo sneak for 2 makes the Brainerd Paladins go up 35-34. Chaz McFreely ends up getting another touchdown to put the Anaconda Mountaineers up, but the big play at the end of the game for Brainerd that got them the win. Both quarterbacks were in, but Mewtwo was the one that got the ball, and lateraled it to Jesse Faden, then brought it back to Mewtwo, who threw it to Diddy Kong, and the score ended up being Brainerd 42, Anaconda 40. Brainerd 1-0 on the season.
All right, next up we have Mansfield at Phoenix City, a division opponent, but not rivals. We start out with Mansfield, who Mario throws to Sonic right away for the touchdown. And then very next drive is a strip sack by Mansfield, which allows them to get the ball back and go up 14-0 by the end of the first quarter. Not much is going Phoenix City's way as they are unable to. As Phoenix City's quarterback Steve is unable to make anything happen, while Mansfield is able to go up again with the pass to Flappy Bird, 21-0, leading at the half. Not looking good because they get up right away with Mansfield gets another touchdown, 28-0, followed by Phoenix City's first score of the game, where Kamek is able to fly his broom into the end zone and Blaziken makes a good kick. Not much happens later on other than Mansfield scoring more points with a blowout win of 41-7.
An absolute romp there.
Yeah.
But the game of the day was East Chicago Blacksmiths at the Weatherford Sheriffs. Things got started out early. Both teams scored on all 3 drives of the first quarter, and including a Gengar run-in to the end zone. Toad and Wild D kind of carrying the team down the field, with Pitt catching the touchdown for East Chicago, tying it up, and Crash spinning his way into a touchdown to put the Weatherford Sheriffs up 14-7. In the second quarter, the Toad was unfortunately stopped by Zach. It was gooped.
Got
gooped. So that drive ended up not working out for them. Singe broke out into the open field, touchdown. It was 20-7 Weatherford at that point, and after a more run-heavy drive, Robin throws it to Sable for a touchdown, and the beautiful Bayonetta kicks it a not as beautiful kick. 20-14 was the score going into the half. Then in the third quarter, Weatherford opens up the scoring on East Chicago. Wrecking Ball becomes a running back for this drive, rolls it into the end zone, and then Samus throws it to the grooving Lucio for the 2-point conversion. It is now 28-14. But East Chicago began to mount a comeback. Even though during their only drive of the third quarter ended with an injury to Pitt, they were able to stop Weatherford both times. First, it was an interception by Inkling after Napoleon bats it down into the Inkling's hand. And then Corrin turns into a dragon to stop the defense from getting to Wild D, basically allowing Wild D to get into the end zone. It is now 28-21. Weatherford fails again, throws an incomplete a pass to Tracer, and then for the final play of the drive, Leon Kawada comes in for the final play, scrambles a bit, then throws it to Sakura, the defender replacing Pitt, for the touchdown, and Toad runs it in for the game-winning extra point. East Chicago wins it in a comeback victory, 29-28, a perfect way to cap off Week 1 of the VBBFL.
Very excellent matchups. My favorite, of course, being the last one with what a comeback.
Yeah.
Interesting to note that all of the away teams won.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that's because that I was controlling them. That's just how things
went. Yes.
That's just how things went, because we control whether or not they go for an extra point or whatever. But
sure, it's
all random, and that's just how things broke for Week 1.
Yeah, and the final standings through week 1, Brainerd is the sole winning team of the Western Conference. Everyone else has lost, and the Phoenix City is the sole team that has not won their game. Everyone else has wins through Week 1. Yeah, it was a great time, and we recommend that you are a part of the journey with us. We will be streaming VBBFL as often as we can on Saturdays. I don't know about this Saturday yet, but we will let you guys know. Follow us on Twitter at VirtualBallBoys to find out any more details about that. We stream at twitch.tv/Team Chaos Productions. You can get the link to in the description for that stream. So there you go. That was the first 4 matchups, and yeah, a lot of fun. Really excited to see where it goes from there. And finally, folks, it is time for our Week 3 predictions.
Last week, Chris had a miracle performance, and for the first time in podcast history, has predicted 16 games correctly. Applause. Non-sarcastic as possible. You did amazing. I'm proud of you. And the Week 1 where I demolished you is now basically no more.
It got a lot erased. Yeah, it took a Cowboys insane miracle victory to even get to this point. But yeah, I like I said, I think that there was maybe only one other time since I started doing any picking of NFL games that this happened. But it is insane to have the honor of getting it right and getting the Team Chaos right. And my guarantee right is big time help. So at the end of the week, I got 17 more points, and you went 12-4. So that's still not bad.
That's still great, but
that's still
when
great.
Up to a 16-0, like 17 points versus 8 points is
a lot. But
yeah.
When it's all said and done right now, after Week 2, you are still leading. 23-9 is your record. You have 14 points. I am 22-10 with 12 points. So now I did come back. I'm not quite over the hump. I'm not ahead yet.
No, you're over the hump. You you have made it to the point where now it's an even competition between us. Yeah,
it's competitive again. That's okay. That's valid. All right, so and we have another 16 game slate here. I wonder, are bye weeks gonna start next week? I forget.
Let's see.
I think that there might be one more week where there is no buys. I'm not entirely sure. It's been
looks like there are bye weeks week 5. There are no bye weeks week 4.
Okay, so all right, so this is we still have one more week before 16 games no longer exists.
Yep.
For at least for until like
November.
November.
They exist again.
Yes, there you go. All right. So let's get right into it. The Miami Dolphins at the Jacksonville Jaguars, like we talked about earlier, mustache versus beard. A Jaguars team that's looking better than what we thought. The Dolphins, who are 0-2, kind of still are looking messy, but hey, still got one of the best coaches in the league. What do you think is going to happen here?
Yeah, this game isn't super cut and dry, especially if you saw how good the Dolphins played against the Bills last week. In fact, almost winning. But Jaguars have just such chaotic energy, and they've been more consistent than the Dolphins have. So I'm going to give it to the Jaguars on this one.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to go with the Jaguars. And look, we just talked about chaotic energy, like you said, and I'm a believer in it. I guarantee that the Jaguars are going to win
Hell
this game.
Yes!
I guarantee that they're going to win this game. It just looks like a better team right now than the Dolphins. I could be eating my words on that, but fuck it. Jaguars are going to get this W here. So
all right.
There you go.
The Chicago Bears come off of an almost loss to the Giants. Giants coming back from almost coming back. Go to Atlanta to face the Falcons, who experienced the biggest of heartaches and heartbreaks. One is 2-0, one is 0-2. Who's gonna win this one?
This was a tough one at first, but I was just really thinking about it, and I was just like, man, the Falcons' defense is just so bad. I feel like if Trubisky's gonna take a regression, it might as well be in this week. I think the Bears will still win it. So I'll give it to the Bears in this one.
I have the Falcons selected right now.
You do have this, okay?
Because, God, I don't even know, dude. Because the Bears' defense is still good, and I don't know how the Falcons stack up to other things. I'm going to be rooting for the Bears, but with how many points the Falcons put up, I just don't see Trubisky coming back from that.
No, that's valid. That's valid.
So I'm gonna begrudgingly pick the Falcons, and it's weird picking the Falcons when you're picking the Bears.
I'm just thinking who is the worst? The thing is that
you use this logic a lot.
Yeah, it's who's the worst unit of the four teams? I would say it's the Falcons defense, yes. But I would also say who's the best unit who's the best unit? It's the Falcons offense. Yeah, so it's tough. It's the Bears are kind of resting in the middle of all of it, and the Falcons are kind of just the two extremes kind of living together. And I completely understand the logic of picking the Falcons on this one. I think that the Bears might have more of a consistent game plan than the Falcons in this one.
I will gladly take the L on this one.
Right, yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
No, I get it completely. All right, so then the Rams at Buffalo, one of the best games for this week. The Rams are going to be traveling to Buffalo for this matchup, and they are coming off of a big-time victory over the Eagles. Shut them down completely. And the Bills, with lightning delays and everything, it was a weird game against Miami. Wasn't as close. Was close, unfortunately, that they probably wanted. But regardless, got the victory. They're 2-0, and Josh Allen's one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now.
This is probably... There's so many hard games to predict this week, and I don't know if this one's the hardest, but it's close.
It's up there.
God. I really like how Josh Allen is playing. Home field advantage is gonna play a factor. I still really like what the Rams are doing, but I'm gonna go with the Bills just because I want to see them continue this train.
Okay, I'm gonna go with the Rams here.
Yeah.
I like the Bills as a lot as well, and I think that I do like what Mr. Allen is cooking right now. I think Aaron Donald is a threat to football humanity, and I think that he is gonna continue to wreak havoc on things. And I feel like Sean McVay and the offense they're clicking. They're getting back into it.
Yeah,
They're on a good train, and so that's why I'm going to go with the Rams on this one.
Cool. Next up, the Cincinnati Bengals take on the Philadelphia Eagles. The Bengals with their new quarterback, playing some pretty good football, and it's only going to get better as Burrow gets better. Versus the Eagles, who have had two heartbreaking losses in a row with a quarterback who seems to be going down compared to what we're used to him playing as. What's your take on this matchup?
I look at two teams that seem to be trending in different directions, even though they're both 0-2. I feel like the Bengals have a little bit of more hope right now because of Joey Burrow and because of just because of the offense that looks like it's getting its, AJ Green's out of the picture kind of, but everything else about the offense seems to work well, and the offensive line's kind of sucking. But I like the Bengals in this matchup. I'm going to pick them. That's without a Team Chaos moniker on that. I just like the Bengals a lot more than the Eagles, who I just think are too beat up, and there's a lot of problems across the board.
Yeah, this really should be a bounce-back game for the Eagles, but it's really not looking pretty for them at all. And so I have the Bengals winning, and I'm going to Team Chaos them.
Perfect.
I want to see Burrow get his first win, and I want to see any NFC East fan except for you suffer, because I hate that division.
every NFC East fan
I really just even just like not even just the fact that it's been the suckiest division for the past 2 years,
sure.
But I just don't. I think all four of those teams would end up in my bottom half of teams, which I can't say for any other team in the division.
No, I get it. I understand that completely.
In the league, rather.
Speaking of NFC East, Washington will be going to Cleveland to take on the Browns. A lot of inter-conference matchups this week. The Browns, of course, coming off of that big win over the Bengals. Washington got kind of run up on by the Arizona Cardinals. Did not play as well as they did the first week. What do you see in this match?
I think Cleveland is going to have a very nice time. I don't think that the Washington offense is as put together as Cincinnati or Baltimore were. So Cleveland should have a pretty good time this matchup. I'm going to go with them.
Yeah, I agree. I think Washington's going to take care of business. Or I think Cleveland Browns, are going to take care of business. I don't trust Washington's offense at all. I think that if there's anything that's going to give the Cleveland problems, which is what I've been saying lately, it's just Washington's defensive line is just insane.
Yeah,
but
and Terry McLaurin.
And Terry McLaurin, right? But like
Terry McLaurin, the one bright spot of this offense,
right. And so that's where I could see this game being close. But other than that, I think the Browns are in good shape for this one.
Okay, next up we have the Tennessee Titans coming off of their second victory in a row against the Minnesota Vikings, who haven't been looking that good at all. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, Vikings are in bad shape, man.
It's bad. Should be.
The defense just is not playing to snuff, and the quarterback rating last week for Kirk Cousins was really not good at all in any way, shape, or form. I'm very high on Tannehill in this. I'm very high on Tannehill. I think he could have a big game in terms of beating up on the secondary. I'm gonna go a little crazy though, and I was thinking about this, and I was just like, what if this 2-week period of absolute just insane terribleness that we are seeing from the Vikings can get adjusted? Because I feel like week 3 tends to be the week if a team that we didn't expect to be bad usually gets their win in week 3. And I'm gonna say that the Vikings are gonna be my team chaos for the week. And I think the Vikings are gonna be. I think that they're gonna adjust to their issues. I think they're gonna find the way on defense to kind of start to play a lot smarter. And I think that Kirk Cousins and Adam Thielen and I think the rest of the offense as a whole, I think they're gonna start to get their act together a little bit. And I don't. I look. Part of me does not. A good chunk of me believes that the Titans are going to win this game, but I think I could see this game getting tight, and I could see the Vikings being a surprise upset team here. So I'm going Vikings, team chaos.
There's a chance. I just like this Tennessee team too much. Them.
Me too. Don't get me wrong at all. I want this Titans team to win. It's just. This was one of those games I was just like, you know what, this is my last hurrah with the Vikings here, you know. So you're on Titans then.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Las Vegas Raiders at the New England Patriots. A sneaky good game this week. Cam Newton going up against another hot, basically two hot offenses going up against each other in a big time matchup. What do you think is going to happen here?
I was going. I don't know if I should necessarily say I was going back and forth on this, but I was very curious as to what my overall thoughts would be, and just seeing the way that Cam Newton is and trusting Cam Newton so much, I'm gonna pick the Patriots. And both these teams are chaotic; anything could happen. But I'm gonna lock the Patriots in, which I don't think I've ever done. But I feel good about it.
No, I like it a lot. I really do. I'm going Patriots as well. I do love the Raiders. I do think that their defensive troubles are gonna catch up to them in this game. So I'll go, but I'm gonna go Patriots in a big spot.
Cool. Next up, we have the injury-riddled San Francisco 49ers. Oh, did they get 2 games in MetLife in a row?
Yep.
Wow.
And they complained about that turf.
Yeah, they did. Okay. Wow, get to face the New York Giants, who are coming off their second loss of the season. I mean, 49ers aren't going to have their stars, but it's still a Kyle Shanahan leading the offense versus New York Giants, who just lost 2 of their stars on offense as well.
Yep.
How do you think this matchup is going to go?
This probably would have been a team chaos if Saquon was healthy and Sterling Shepard was healthy. You know, this could have been
there's a chance.
But nah, can't do it. Not gonna pull the trigger. 49ers. The Giants beating the 49ers, I think, is even more likely than the Vikings beating the Titans. But I'm sticking with my Vikings pick and I'm gonna stick with the 49ers on this one.
You have to go with the 49ers. They're still too strong despite losing all of their good pieces. I just don't think the Giants are a good enough team.
Right. Exactly. That's where I'm at too.
To overcome San Francisco's great coaching.
Yep. Exactly. All right. The Steelers host the Texans. The Texans, of course, coming off their second week in a row where they had to face a Super Bowl contender, and now they're going to have to face a Super Bowl contender for the third week in a row as they face the Steelers team that has probably one of, if not the best defense in the league, an offense that's still trying to adjust but is starting to look better and better each week. What do you think is going to happen in this one?
It's Houston. I feel so bad for Houston because they start out with the 3 of the best teams either in the league or at least in their conference.
Right.
And they haven't been able to put together what their offense is like without Hopkins, and their defense isn't that good either, while Pittsburgh is proving themselves. They almost allowed the Broncos to come back on them, but they're really strong, and I think Pittsburgh is going to take this game.
So in terms of, good teams that should be able to, that are surprisingly 0-2 and then going into week 3 and they should win that game. Yeah, no team has ever had a schedule though quite like the Houston Texans.
It sucks. Who do they face next week? The Vikings. Okay, they may get some reprieve. They
got some reprieve there. So
and then the Jaguars, who may have been easy at the start of the season. And then the Titans, wow. Oh, God. Houston. And then the Packers, no!
No, it's not the greatest scenario for the Houston Texans.
No.
I'm going Steelers. I think that I don't want to crown this team as the best of the league, though. I think there's some people who are trying to, and I get it, but this offense makes too many mistakes right now for me to fully put faith in the Steelers. But
they can get there, but they're not there yet.
Yep, definitely.
All right, next up, New York Jets, coming off of a game where their opponent was starting all second-string players and still managing to lose. Come and face Indianapolis, who was able to bounce back after their Week 1 upset loss. Who do you got in this game?
Yeah, Jets are the worst team in the league. It's not even close. It is real bad for the New York Jets right now. The Colts. I went into this year thinking that this is going to be a good team. I think the Colts are going to remain a good team and are going to absolutely put a show on in Indianapolis. So I'm picking the Indianapolis Colts for this one.
So we have had so many instances of when players get away from Adam Gase, they become amazing. Kenyon Drake, Devonta Parker, anyone on the Dolphins, really. Robbie Anderson has had 2 100-yard games.
Yep. Since
he left. I don't know how Adam Gase still has a job after last year. And now the question now is what week does he get fired?
I think the Jets have an early bye this year, I think. I could be wrong about that.
Jets bye week. Jets bye week.
Maybe not. Maybe okay. I'm seeing
they have a bye in November.
Okay, so that's it. That'll be the day.
Happy Thanksgiving! You get a new head coach. Fuck the Jets. Indy is the Jets. It's an easy target. I pick a team every year to constantly shit on. It's the Jets this year.
It's the Jets.
Can't be any other team.
Jets.
Jets.
Or SHIT. Jets. All right. Next up is the Carolina Panthers at Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers coming off of an impressive loss. It was a pretty good game, but they still ended up losing. The Panthers also coming off of a close loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but showing some potential. Teddy Bridgewater, watch out, folks. Number 4 on the number 4 on the passing yardage list. So y'all want to make fun of Teddy for being a short yardage passer. Y'all can shove it. What do you think is gonna happen in this game?
The Panthers are in a really similar situation, I feel, to the Texans right now, where they could be better record wise, but they just the circumstances have not allowed it. And unfortunately I think that's gonna continue to be the case. They're doing as well as they can for a bottom of the barrel team. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty admirable. But with how good Justin Herbert played last week and how much that the Chargers shut down Kansas City, it's no contest. I'm gonna go with the Chargers.
Okay, all right. I'm going Chargers too. I think that this is a team that is I think that we really thought when Derwin James went down, it was and they kept on going with Tyrod, just all right. I mean, I don't really see this team being up there and being this kick-ass team, but the defense is looking good for this franchise right now, and if they roll with Justin Herbert, this is an offense that could end up working out. Play calling could be better for this team, and I think the line offensive line's still not amazing, but I really like where the Chargers are at, so going Chargers.
All right, next up, the Dallas Cowboys versus the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle coming off of a great win Sunday night. Dallas Cowboys coming off of a mind-bending win earlier that day. How's this matchup going to go?
It was definitely mind-numbing, but I would say that the Seahawks don't need a miracle to win their games, so most of the time Seahawks have to prevent themselves from blowing victories, so maybe the Cowboys might have a I have an opening there. I look. I love the Seahawks. I think they're a complete team. I look at the Cowboys, and I think that it's a team that wants to seem like it's a complete, but it's just not there yet. They got very lucky last week. Very lucky, and that luck is not going to continue to this week. I'm going Seahawks.
I'm going Seahawks as well. You saw how good Russell Wilson was playing against the reigning depoy, and now they're going against a very injured Dallas team. I don't see much hope for Dallas.
Yeah. No way, no how. Definitely. All right. Tampa Bay Buccaneers going to Denver to take on the Broncos. Usually, Tom Brady has trouble in Denver. Do we think that Jeff Driscoll is going to lead the Broncos to victory against Tom Brady?
It's so hard. This is just another team that is so hurt by injury, and I don't think that they'll be good enough to get over Tampa Bay. So I'm going to go with Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I'm going Tampa as well. And I could see them really having a good day. The Bucs, I think overall, the Broncos they were frisky, but they've been frisky in 2 games, lost both of those games, and now lost some of their more crucial players. And
yeah,
I just don't see them taking the victory here. So I'm with you, Tampa. Tampa it is.
The Detroit Lions face their tying nemesis from last year, the Arizona Cardinals. One team has had 2 losses, while the other team has had 2 wins. How's this going to match up?
I don't see this Cardinals team slowing down right now. They're playing out of their minds. Really good football on both sides. And there is a chance that Kenny Galladay plays in this game, so maybe that adds a little intrigue, but I just love how the Cardinals are playing right now, so gotta go with them.
Cardinals are fantastic. Cliff Kingsbury, Coach of the Year. Let's go. Cardinals.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Sunday Night Football, the Green Bay Packers. Oh, God. Green Bay Packers at the New Orleans Saints. This is going to be a very interesting game. The Saints are they're coming off of a rough loss on a short week right now, but they are still one of the best teams in the NFC. At least we would like to think so. Packers, though, coming in on 2-0 after 2 blowout victories. What do you think is going to happen in this one?
I thought that this was going to be the roadblock for the Packers. I thought it was going to be, they're playing well against 2 pretty bad defenses and 2 offenses, and now this is going to be the roadblock. And then Monday night happened, and now the Saints are struggling, and they're going to continue to struggle against the Packers team. I'm going to go with Packers.
Yeah, I know that was hard, but I'm also going Packers here. I not to say that the Saints can't bounce back from this, but I think that's fair to say that the window is starting to close a little bit for the Saints team. Even though I picked them to win the Super Bowl, but it's just if you can't get your offense going against the Raiders defense that was not like amazing. I don't know what you could do against a Packers team where Aaron Rodgers might be able to outplay the opposing quarterback. So, sorry, Saints. Green Bay Packers it is.
And last, our Monday night's matchup, the battle of the under-25 MVPs. Kansas City Chiefs, Baltimore Ravens, one of the marquee matchups of the year that I'm surprised is happening this early.
Wasn't expecting it.
No. Who you got?
Man, I think this is definitely the hardest of the week. I just think about the last few weeks. I know it's been consistently that Kansas City comes through with the Ravens and like ruins their day. But if I look at the last 2 weeks as evidence, I look at the Ravens and see a team that has not only been dominant on the offensive side of the ball, but also has been really doing damage on defense. And I do think, like, at the end of the day, you want to throw your trust behind Patrick Mahomes. I do as well. I think that this is finally the time that the Ravens overcome the Chiefs in a Week 3 game. But, hey, it happens. So I'm going to go Ravens here.
I'm going Ravens as well. With how dominant the Ravens have been in their 2 games, it feels silly to pick against them because they are overwhelming their opponents.
Definitely.
So, going Ravens.
There you go. All right, so 3 disagreements overall, including it was Falcons, Bears, Bills, Rams, and Titans, Vikings, Team Chaos.
Yes.
So yeah, we will see how that all matches up going forward, folks. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll be back next week with more VBB, recapping the week's action as well as picking next week's action. As
we tend to do.
Yeah, and then do any other segments in between of our usual football nerdiness. Thank you all so much for listening. Justice for Breonna Taylor. And we will see you next week.
Good night and good ball. Virtual Ball Boys has been brought to you by Team Chaos Productions. Find us on Twitter at Virtual Ball Boys and find more of our work at Team Chaos Pods.